We go on to Amandeep Sandhu, who has a similarly sensitive take on the 1984 riots in Roll of Honor.
Happy Bogi today, and it's a Pongal tomorrow, and from where I come from in the country, it's also Lodi. It is also the day on which 425 years back, a Muslim saint laid the foundation stone of a temple named after Hari, which was to serve as a temple for the Sikhs. In the last 425 years, that temple has been demolished thrice. 2 times it was avenged. But the 3rd time, our politics, our country, tried to bury the issue. It buried the issue of the Punjab problem. It buried the issue of all the killings of Hindus that happened in Punjab. To 25,000 disappearances. Unmarked graves are now talked about in the country, but it happened in Punjab. Also, I was studying in a military school at that time, preparing to join the Indian Army. And for me, everything split. The idea stayed with me. I was young then, but a few years later, I started wearing a turban, and in the Delhi bus stop, the police picked me up. They did what the police does. But luckily, because I had a military school identity card, they did not kill me. At the same time, at our farm in Punjab, terrorists had come and demanded money. The local subdivisional magistrate was a family friend. He gave us security in our townhouse, but for 3 months, the police did not enter the farm where the terrorists were holed up. That completely shattered me. I lost a sense of what is the state, what is the community, what is going on. And some time after that, a gun got pulled up on me. This book is fiction, but it is based on real events. The essence is completely real. It is a story of the split loyalties of a Sikh adolescent boy growing up in the terrorism years of Punjab. It is located in the year 1984, when Operation Blue Star happened, when Mrs. Gandhi was assassinated, when the anti-Sikh riots happened. These are all horrible, violent things. These and many others forced me to lose my language multiple times. To me, writing this book has been a journey of losing my language to finding my language, to finally being able to make a narrative out of it. Because to me, the bloodiest decade in the country was the 1980s, which starts with the Nellie massacre and it ends in Babri Masjid. We lose 2 prime ministers in that period. We have the Bhopal gas tragedy. We have the Mandal Commission. A whole lot of churning was going on in India when I was growing up. And yet, there isn't a single book which has the narrative of the 80s. Perhaps as a country, we lost being able to hold on to a narrative at that time. That was also the time when coalition politics started in the country. So, language, a way to tell the story, how to tell the story, is my story legitimate? These were the concerns I had, and I joined an English department in a very good university. But I found myself sort of out of place there, because that was a time of theory, literary theory. It was a time when women were being talked about. I was the wrong gender. Castes were being talked about. I was the wrong caste. And yet there was a story, and I felt that it needs to be told. So that has been my attempt. I'll read right from the beginning of the book so that you are led into the book. The book is inspired by a lot of stories, a lot of writers who I have respected over the years, whether it is William Golding or it is Kabir, whether it is J.D. Salinger or it is D.H. Lawrence. The title is from Yeats's poem. It's called In the Widening Gyre. I ran away. 2.5 decades ago, when a revolver kissed my forehead. I was then studying in a military school in Punjab. I fled, stumbled my way through university in Hyderabad, and found a life in Bangalore. A job, a home, friends, and space to write. Yet, I could not sleep. I could not forget how the black, narrow circle of the muzzle had looked at me, and how I had looked at it. How my knees had trembled, how I could have been killed. Since 1984, the stench of fear has plagued me. Sometimes I wish the bullet had ended this story there and then, and it had remained untold. After living in Bangalore for 11 years, in order to find my sleep, I decided to return closer to the site where my fear had begun. One morning, before dawn, 4 years ago, I started driving my car up the 2,106 kilometers of India's spinal cord. My trunk had only 4 suitcases. They contained all that I imagined to be of any use to me: clothes, photograph albums, fountain pens, ceramic flower vases, some torn old diary sheets in a plastic cover, the writing in faded ink, and some souvenirs that had adorned my study. The monsoon was on. I was still on my way from Bangalore to Delhi when the downpour started. Fair weather bridges were flooded and loaded trucks lined the road. I discovered that India's vertebrae are weak. After driving for 4 days, I reached Delhi. I rented a barsati on a 3rd floor behind Nizamuddin Dargah. At night, I open the doors and let the air waft in. When I sleep, I feel as if I'm lying on top of a mountain. In the mornings, I have my cup of coffee by the window overlooking my terrace. The sun peeks over the parapet. Rose-ringed parakeets and grey pigeons start a war at the 2 mud vessels I have placed for them. In one, I serve them bajra. The other is their water trough. The pigeons try to prevent the parakeets from getting to the millet. The parakeets advance with their bitter looks. Sometimes, squirrels steal the grain. If I stretch a little, next to the crotons, I can see jasmine flowering in my pots. My home is almost austere. A borrowed divan and cane chairs, a plank bed made of cheap wood, and a writing table, a few books. Books have a way of coming back into my life. The harsh weather plays its games. Too dry and cold in the winter, too dry and hot in the summer. When it rains, I hasten to push the bed out from its place next to the leaking bedroom windows. I save my mattresses from getting wet, save the planks from smelling foul. Wet planks of cheap wood smell like fear. Thank you.
I don't know whether I should thank Amandeep. He has literally left me shaken talking of 1984. But I must thank him for recalling the days we as a nation and as a society are tending to forget. 1984 for me also, like Amandeep, was a very important year. The assassination of Indira Gandhi exposed the underbelly of India's famed middle class. I was personally a witness to middle-class men and women driving their Maruti 800s, which was the car at that time, to fancy showrooms and walking away with TVs, with washing machines, with other electronic items in their car. And we had massacre at very many places in Delhi. We had an age-old cinema hall called Swarn, which was initially a mobile theater and then became a permanent theater. It was reduced to ashes within a couple of hours, and its owners were 70-plus couple who had taken basically refuge at the cinema hall from their house. They were burnt alive over there. Let's just hope and pray that the decade he talked about does not come to visit our nation ever again.